Well, I got 8 o'clock. We're getting started. Again, good morning. My name is Mark Smith, and it's really a pleasure to be here with you. I'm really a huge um, proponent on education. I spent 25 years in post-secondary education for a for-profit school, as well as another 8 years in workforce development. Currently, I actually work for a nonprofit in Baltimore, Maryland called the Center for Urban Families. So I'm an instructor for men and women who are just being released from prison to help them get the job readiness skills that they need to be effective in the world. But that hasn't always been my job, right? I've done a lot of things in my, I'm going to say, adult years. So who am I? I am actually a son, of course. I had to be born, right? So I'm a son, a father, husband, and I have 7 beautiful grandchildren. Matter of fact, we just left them, 2 of them, in Houston a couple days ago, and they really bring a lot of joy to my heart. I'm an author of a book that's being created called The Process. Actually, I'm a radio personality as well, so I have a podcast that's syndicated and actually played on 2 radio stations every week. I did a TEDx talk on the word growth. And I said, growth stands for something a lot of people don't really take advantage of. And I said, that's gradual reminder obstacles will test hope. To me, that is true growth of an individual. I talked about my work as a Strive trainer. That stands for support, training, results, and valuable employees. And I am actually on the board executive committee for Zero Prostate Cancer in Georgia and Atlanta. So again, I wear a lot of hats. I stay very busy, but again, it's all well worth it. So what should you expect today? We're going to do a little self-reflection. I think we all have to take a moment and pause and kind of figure out who we are, what we need to do to regroup. Secondly, we're going to laugh. I don't believe in any session that we don't have a good laugh. You can laugh at my expense if you want to. I don't care. But again, I like to make it light. I like to make sure that we are gravitating and learning something, but also we're having fun. We're going to get to know something about someone in this room. I don't think it's fair for me to sit up here for an hour without knowing something about it, some of you in here. So I'm going to not pick on you, but I'm going to ask you. My old instructor used to tell me you can either volunteer or get voluntold, either or. Next one, we're going to see what's really in your mirror. I think we talked about taking a respective look at who we are and what we do. And we're going to be able to go back to your respective organizations to help people to release at least one thing that's been holding them back. And I always say that we have an option when we interact with any client. We can leave them bitter or we can leave them better. Those are the 2 things that how we're going to perceive and how we're going to walk out of there. So before we go, I told you we're going to get to learn a little bit about some of you. I need somebody to volunteer and take number 3, somebody volunteer and take number 5, and somebody volunteer and take number 9. 3, 5, and 9. Which one you want? 5? I need a 3. You take 3, you take 9. All right. What was your first job? Piggly Wiggly, tell me about it. Okay. Did you like it? What did it teach you? Okay. All right. I like that. I like that. I'm sorry, number 1, not number 5. Number 1. There you go. What is your favorite piece of furniture in your residence? Okay. All right. I like that. I like that. Number 9. What was one of your nicknames and how did you get it? Told you we're gonna get something out of you today. Mhm. Oh, okay. All right. All right. Anybody else want to challenge that one? What was one of your nicknames and how'd you get it? Yes, sir. Okay. All right. All right. Anybody else want to tackle? Oh, yeah, go ahead. Wow. So, yeah, somebody else had their hand raised. Yes. Yep, you. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah, Jay and Race. When we go, are we there yet? Okay. And you had your hand up in the back. Mm, okay. Okay. All right. All right. My first job, I actually worked for an organization called Youth Conservation Corps. Now, imagine this. I'm 14 years old. You have to apply to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, work till 4 o'clock in the afternoon from June through August, and you had to clear fields at a park. You didn't have a any machinery. You had a rake, a wheelbarrow, and you had a tarp and had to carry it out. That was my first job. You had to apply to get this. You couldn't get paid till you finished the whole program, right? So that was crazy. My favorite piece of furniture, we're going to talk about that in a second. What was my nickname and how did I get it? My nickname was Boy. Because every time my dad said something to me that I knew I did wrong, it was Boy, boy, come here. Oh, I knew I was in trouble. So, but again, thank you for sharing. That means a lot. So, we're going to talk about this word free, right? Free has a ton of different definitions. Of course, Webster says it's the absence of necessity, coercion, constraint in choice or action, liberation from slavery or restraint from the power of another, independence and quality, state of being, exempt of being released. Pretty standard. It's what we really think of a lot of times when we think about that word. However, I want to introduce you to one of the guys that worked with me at Youth Conservation Corps. His name is Gerald Johnson. Gerald and I were friends since we were 8 years old. We were inseparable. If he was left shoe, I was right shoe. If he moved left, I moved right. That was my best friend. And he still is. We're still good friends today. We just have one problem. I went to the Ohio State University. George went to University of Michigan. So we have a problem. We had a problem. We were both great athletes in high school, and both of us received college scholarships to play there. But for 4.5 years, I wouldn't take his calls. He wouldn't take my calls. We were just at odds. But we're good friends now, except for this last year when they beat us again. But anyway, let's talk about Gerald for a minute because he is a true definition of a good friend. George worked for a Fortune 500 company. He had been with the same organization for over 15 years. And we know that longevity is key, especially now. He's married, 5 children, ages 11 to 28. He won Employee of the Year for the last 9 years consecutively and known by many as a guru in terms of workforce development and training. He is great at that as well. And he had no desire to grow, though. George was content with where he needs to be. And I used to tell him all the time, George, you need to. I'm Gerald. I'm sorry, Gerald, George. I'm losing him. Gerald, sometime in your life you have to take a shot. You got to take a chance. Something's going to occur because we know nothing ever stays the same. We know only thing that's true is change. And I knew something was about to happen because I always say that comfort is a casualty of growth. When we get comfortable, when we get stagnant, then something is a casualty of growth. In 2018, I was working for a for-profit school. I was the director of career services. So I had just went down and I had graduates in electrical technology, in CAD, as well as in IT and medical assistant for a school. And I just got done giving them a presentation on the importance of dressing for success, the importance of your resume, how to interview correctly. And I'm feeling really good about this because I know that these men and women are going to be successful. So I get back to my office and I have two voicemails. We used to call that the money light. When we see that light lit up, we knew somebody was calling us to potentially hire our grads. So I picked up the phone. The first one was a doctor, OBGYN at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. She wanted to hire 23 medical assistants. I'm thinking, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. It's December 18th. This is beautiful. Great close the year out, and everybody's going to be happy. So then I picked up the phone, and there's a gentleman, Calvin Long. Calvin was the regional director of engineering for Dietz and Watson. Dietz and Watson has one of the most robust plants inside of Baltimore as well. So he wanted to hire 32 electrical engineers. I'm thinking, we're getting ready to close a year. I'm going to place 60 people. Everybody's going to be happy. So I'm getting ready to pick up the phone and call him back, and I hear on my office door, and it's my campus president. And he says, Mark, I need to see you. I said, Dale, give me 5 minutes. I got to make these return phone calls. We're going to play 60 men and women for the end of the month, end of the quarter, end of the year. We're going to be great. We're going to reach our numbers. We're going to kill it. He said, no, I need to speak with you now. So like anybody else, I'm thinking sugar, honey, iced tea. What did I do? What did I do? So I walk inside his office. There's the regional director of enrollment. There's the not only the campus president, because it's his office, the director of financial aid, as well as another individual from corporate. They said, ladies and gentlemen, we're closing our school. I'm like, what? What do you mean we're closing our school? We are 52% over budget. I know where we are. We are over our goal. We're ready to go. And then she looked at me and she said, we're closing our school today, 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, December 18, 2018. And then she threw another bullet. She said, and guess what? You're going to go tell them. So you can imagine the anxiety, the frustration, the agitation of what was to come. So I went approximately 6.5 months after that before I even had another opportunity. I share that because I got comfortable. I truly got comfortable in my role because I didn't think about growing. I was content. I was ready to do what I needed to do, and I was happy about it. And the same thing kind of happened to Gerald, because literally 2 weeks after I lost my job, he got fired. And we were misery buddies. We were good friends then, because again, both of us we didn't care about Ohio State, Michigan at that point. We wanted to find work. We wanted to kind of help each other move forward. So I said, Gerald, excuse me, what can we do? We have to find some services that are connected for all of us to be able to go back to work. So he flew into, at that time I was living in Maryland. And he flew down to Maryland, and we sat down and we had a conversation. So we decided we needed to stop wasting our time and figure out a system, figure out something that's going to help individuals go through a maturation process as and when they get laid off, if that's even feasible. So in this phone call, though, that he had at the airport coming to me, he identified a few key topics, 7 actually. He had never lost a job. And I feel the same. I said, I never lost a job. I didn't quit jobs. I don't do that. That's not who we are. He was worried about his financial future. And I can truly understand that. I know what he was talking about. He has not worked on his resume in 10 years. Mine had been 12. He was the only one in his home that was working. He was the breadwinner of his house. He was unsure of his future plans because, again, he didn't know what to do. But this is the one that I think hit us both. It hit us hard. We felt worthless as a father, as a husband, as a breadwinner, and began sleeping aggressively for depression. But one of the things that I thought about as things start to move forward is that I needed to be more conscious about my tongue. The less you say, the more the words matter. Often we speak too much without thinking. We have that old saying, some people listen to respond versus listen to understand. That was the cycle of where we were at, because we were pressing, we were trying to rush in. But when we speak less, our words carry more weight. People tend to listen more closely to those who choose their words carefully. An old mentor of mine told me the three things are the key in being successful. He said, 1, you'd never get out of life what you want, you get out of life who you are. And I had to resonate with that. The second one was, when you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. The last one that he said is practice OQP. And I was like, isn't that a rap group by Naughty by Nature? He said, no, OQP, only quality people. Surround yourself with only quality people. I use the term a lot of times when I speak. I talk about identifying who's in your circle versus who's in your cage. Being able to really, sometimes we have to separate ourselves and separate individuals for us to get to levels we need to go to. So again, we really had some conversations about our words, and it was more intense because now we had to get to that point to where we had to release some things. And releasing is tough. I'm here to tell you, it's releasing. Dismissing, forget about it, relinquishing, control, nah, not me, not him. We all want to have something inside us that we can run through, something that we can gravitate to, something that's going to um, make us grow. And releasing is one of the toughest things of doing it, giving it up, letting it go, believing that it's going to get better. Many of the students, many of the men and women that I work with and train, this is probably their second biggest Achilles heel is releasing the things of their past. We can't change our past, but we definitely can move forward and doing some things for it. Do we got any online people asking questions? Okay, okay, all right. What have you done? I'm asked. This is kind of an open forum question as well. What, as if anybody would volunteer or voluntold, what have you done in your life that you felt that releasing was necessary? Who would like to share? Thank you. I'm bringing the microphone.
Okay, so I live this way. I don't hold on to things, and I do what I want kind of, and I've always not gone with the norm. But as a mother, I'm like, go with the norm, go to college, do all these things. And so two of my kids were very normal. And I had a third kid that was, he hated school and all these things. So, but I realized at some point he was me, and I didn't want to see it. I wanted to see the kid that was going to do what we were supposed to do. And so once I realized he was me and was very independent and did his thing, we changed everything for him, and his trajectory changed. I pulled him out of school. I'm in a GED program. He went to school with me. At 18, he became a welder, which is what he wanted to do, and he's been working full time. But that was not what at 3 when you go to college, when you go to the dorm, like he didn't want any of that stuff. But it took a long time for me to finally listen to him and let him do the releasing. So it's been great.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to share? Going once? Going twice? Okay, gone. Um, I'm glad you brought that up. 'Cause one of the things that we talk a lot about is finding what is a sustainable career path. What is sustainable? What does sustainable mean to people? Sustainable, in our definition, means that you have the ability to take care of yourself financially, you can take care of your family financially, and you can make sure that you are on the right track for career growth. There were three professions that I always talked to and talked about when I worked for that for-profit school. One was electrical engineering, and I say that because when we had let's cover all three: electrical engineering, plumbing, and HVAC. Okay, those three. When we had COVID, when we everybody went down, the world shut down. Those entities never stopped working. I know individuals who work in that field that made more money in their entire life during that 2.5 year period. So that's amazing. So let's talk about releasing again. It's tough. It's time to let it go. It's hard, hard, hard to let things go. But there's one thing that's for sure that I learned. When you focus on your problems, you'll have more problems. You'll have more problems. The energy you put in focusing on difficulties only attracts more of them. But when you have your focus on possibilities, solutions, and opportunities, we create a space for growth, success. So let's shift our mind, and the world will change. That's where we are. Shifting our mind so the world will change. That is how you release. You have to be willing to shift your mind, to shift your goals, to shift your dreams to where you need to be. And he still wasn't ready. He still was not ready to do the shifting. So, Gerald, again, this would be the one that I think sticks with everybody. Finally releasing everyone. Define everyone. Is that the people that we look up to? Is that the people that we admire? Oh, my wife and I have a running joke. Every time we see something on TV or hear something that starts with they said, who is they? Who are they? What gives they the qualifications to dictate an answer? So we always laugh and talk when we hear that word they, we just look at each other and just smile. They. So everyone, you know, this is probably the biggest sticking point for most people is we seek the attention, we seek the admiration, we seek the admiration and acceptance of everybody, of other people when we really don't have to. I love this. To lead an orchestra, you must turn your back on the crowd. To lead the orchestra, the conductor always turns his back on the crowd, right? They say that leadership is important. Leadership is intentional. It's never a title. And a lot of times we fall back or fall short of that because we want to please everyone. So when we have somebody that is struggling, when we have somebody that doesn't know their way, when we have somebody that's still maybe trying to understand who they are and what they belong, we really got to have this tough conversation. Who are you listening to? Who is that person that is your circle of influence? Is that person really in their circle? Is that person really in their cage? Do they want them to be successful or do they want them not to be successful? That's going to be the key. That's our starting point and that's our answer. So you meet people for a reason. My grandmother used to always tell me, boy, there's a season and a reason. Always a season and a reason. But I like this one. You meet people for a reason. Every person that enters your life plays a role. Or as I like to say, you play your position. You play a position whether it's to change your life or to change theirs. Some relationships teach you while others challenge you to make you stronger. Every encounter is part of your journey, which is part of your destiny. Part of your journey is part of your destiny. I wrote a series that talked about destiny. I said destiny is the sum of our choices. Our destiny will always be the sum of our choices. They add up to everything that we've done. So we knocked off everyone. My good friend Gerald. Expectations. I'm going to pause here. This is where I get into a lot of trouble because I'm going to tell a story, true story. My wife and I brought up that we've got 5 children. And a lot of times in the past, we truly, truly wanted to do things with them all the time. And we would ponder, why don't they want to spend time with us? There's nothing wrong with us. We provided a great life for them. They're all educated. They're all doing well. What is it that they just don't want to spend time with us? And then we realized this right here. It's because we had the expectation that they would want to. So we had to release that expectation of them and change that mindset, right? So instead of having an expectation of your clients, instead of having an expectation of your children, instead of having expectations of anything that's out there in the industry, we changed our mindset to we have requirements. We have requirements. If you want this or you need this, this is what's going to be required for you. If you want this help, here's what you have to do to obtain the help. It's not about the expectation anymore because expectation leads to hurt and pain almost every time. At some point, it's going to lead to hurt and pain. So we really had to refocus our mindset around that versus the straight expectations. Does anybody agree, disagree? It's an open forum. Yes, ma'am. Let me bring you the mic because we got online listening.
I was with you up to like releasing the expectations because yeah, your kids, I was always like, I kind of thought they wouldn't want to spend time with me. That was my expectation, right? And it was completely the opposite. They're always including. So sometimes it's the making you like the commodity that they want versus the put it out there for everybody.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I would say my thing is not everyone else. It's my expectation of me or what I believe they expect. A lot of times what I think they require me is not even what they expect. So it's more so me beating myself up about it and thinking that's what I'm supposed to do for them.
Self-reflection. Good job. Good job. Anybody else? I know this has been something that, again, I had to work on because I can't, I become hypocritical if I don't react or do the same thing that other people do for me, right? So Gerald has been that friend that always would be there. So his expectations and my expectations was for us to bounce things off each other. Once you take note of the things that you're grateful for, you begin to lose sight of what you lack. Gratitude shifts your mindset. When you focus on what you have instead of what you don't have, your world becomes brighter. Gratitude takes ordinary moments and makes extraordinary moments. Man, that is when my life and that is when his life changed. Because again, we let go of the anger of being let go. We let go of the anger of being at our age. I was 53 years old when I lost that job in 2018. I didn't fulfill at that point. I was still working on I was doing I want to say the 35-year bachelor's degree track, the 30-year track, where it took a while to get it. But again, that pushed me to kind of do some different things than I was used to doing before. And it allowed me to grow, to enjoy, extraordinary moments. So let's talk about what he's doing now, because I think that's important. We know that he lost his job in 2018. We know that he went through some bad turmoil, and this is actually a picture of him today. So what's he doing now? He's still happily married. He started his own consulting company. He travels all across the country with his grandchildren. He shares his personal experiences of being fired. He works with 125 professional athletes on a simple premise that we created. Change is hard at first, it's messy in the middle, but it's rewarding at its conclusion. Change is hard at first, messy in the middle, but rewarding at its conclusion. So my question to each one of you, if you could take the time to answer, is how do we invoke change, right? How do we invoke the change of the mindset in the men and women that we serve, the young adults that we serve, right? Because we know that change is going to happen. How do we get them to be receptive to change? How do we, let's start where it is. How do we become receptive to change? Anyone? Excuse me.
I think it's helping them recognize like what internal resources they have in it. Like I attended a session on self-efficacy, and like I work with a lot of community members who have very low self-efficacy. I have a lot of, I see the potential and the capability of, being able to make a change, but like they don't see that. So I think it's helping people understand like what internal resources that I have to be capable to make the change.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I've heard it called like steel has to be forged in fire and has to go through extreme heat, extreme pressure to become to find its true strength to be able to be used properly.
Great. Anybody else? All right. I'm a simplistic type of guy, right? So I did 30 plus years to get a bachelor's degree, so you know I wasn't ready. But I've always believed life is simplicity. So I believe that there are three components. I call this the 4 C's. So one of them, the last one is change. So there's 4 components or 3 real strong components that force change. One, you got to make a choice. You can't change anything unless you make a choice to change it. You'll stay the same, nothing will happen. The second thing that you need to do is you got to make a commitment. You got to make a commitment to do it. You can't do it today and say, I'm going to make this change, and then turn around and you do something counterproductive, right? And I always remind men and women that the definition of commitment is staying loyal to what you said you wanted to do long after the mood you set it in left. What you wanted to do. The next one to get to change is you got to be consistent. You got to be consistent. You can't do it 2 days and then take a day off. Can't do it 3 days and take a day off. You got to be consistent. So if you make a choice, you definitely make the commitment, and you are consistent, that gives you change. That's an easy formula that works 90% of the time. We got any online questions? Not yet? All right. So let's talk about this. We talked about the furniture, your bed, right? To me, your most valuable piece of furniture is your mirror. And I say your mirror because that's where you form who you are. The mirror reflects back at you, right? The most valuable piece of furniture we all have in life is our mirror. It reflects back to the person looking into what you see within. Your mindset shapes your reality. I say all the time, you can't have a new reality with an old mentality. You can never have a new reality with an old mentality. So again, if you focus on negativity and doubt, this is what life will reflect back on you. But if you adopt a positive, open mindset, a minded perspective, you will find opportunities that grow, that you seek. These are simplistic things that I feel that have worked not only for me, but for well over 450,000 individuals that we've worked with in Baltimore City. Men and women who basically had nothing, no belief system in themselves, no belief in anything that they did, but we tried to reframe that and we did a good job of it. So, all right, I like stories. Right? I'm gonna give you one true, strong story that I think I will sum all this up and kind of help you go back to your respective organizations and do some things. This story was told to me one day while I was sitting flicking channels, and yeah, Jerry Springer was on too. And I was supposed to be on the internet trying to find some foreign job, and I stumbled across a story that stuck with me and still sticks with me today. There was a father and a daughter. The daughter just turned 16 years old. She had never driven, but she just got her learner's permit. So they were at a revival, father and daughter. And the father looked at the daughter and said, honey, it's time. We're going to let you drive home. So elated, happy, big smile on her face. She took the car, took the keys, jumped in the driver's side seat. He said, adjust the seatbelt, adjust the seat, check the mirrors, make sure everything's good. So they started on the road. They were singing, laughing, talking, having a great time. Then about 15 minutes in the journey, it started to rain a little bit. She looked at her dad and said, Daddy, it's raining. You want me to pull over? He said, nah, baby, just keep on driving. So they drove a little further, about another 10 or 15 miles. The rain started to intensify. And the little girl looked at her dad, said, Daddy, you want me to pull over? He said, nah, baby, just keep on driving. So they drove a little bit more. The rain was so intense, the wiper blades could not keep up with the rain. 18-wheelers, motorcycles, other cars had pulled over on the underpass. And she just looked at her dad with tears coming down her eye. He just touched her hand gently, said, no, baby, just keep on driving. So as they drove another 3.5 miles, the sun came out. And he said, okay, pull over now. So she pulled over, the tears still going down her face. He still held her hand. He said, I want you to get out the car. So she got out the car and said, Dad, why? Why'd you make me drive through this? He said, I want you to do me a favor. Walk around on this side of the car, and I want you to look back. And she turned to look back. He said, what am I looking at? She said, where are the 18-wheelers? Where are the motorcycles? Where's the other cars? She said, they're in the rain, still in the storm. He said, that's my message to you. If you pull over in your storm, you'll stay in your storm. But if you just keep on driving, just keep on keep pushing, keep on going, then you'll eventually make it through your storm. For us to establish a culture, or for us to establish the mindset of being free, finally releasing everyone's expectations, we got to drive through some storms, people. We got to go through some storms. We got to share our personal stories. We got to share our personal relationships. We got to share things that may make us feel uncomfortable at times. But isn't that what some of the students or some of the men and women that we serve, they're coming to us because they're uncomfortable. People don't change until the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. That's when people change. That's when we move forward. That's why we drive through the rain. That's why we do what we do every single day to change the lives of the men and women that we serve. Any questions? Any comments? Concerns? Nothing? You guys are too quiet. All right. So, as I said before, this is all my information of where you can find me. I always close with a simple message that I believe, and that's your why. It will always be greater than your situation, which is part of your process. We all have to go through to get through. There's no question about that. You don't have to take pictures. If you email, I have my cards up here. If you email me, I'll send you these slides. So you don't even have to worry about it. So you can get a clear picture and you go from there. So again, I mentioned 2 radio stations. I'm on Star 107 FM, which is based out of Columbus. I'm on WDJY, based out of Atlanta. And again, I'm on all the social media platforms. If you go to my website, you can pick up everything that you want. All right. Any questions? All right. Thank you for your time today. I truly appreciate you.